Alright, Joe here, welcome back to We Need to Talk. Of course, this is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past 7 days. The 7 days that's seen Trent Alexander-Arnold showing off his touch. Andy Robertson, of course, then having to go one better. And Gabriel Jesus proving that he's just as human as you and me. Anyway, today we need to talk about the next Messi. Right, you guys are fully aware that football is on pause across Europe right now, except for the Bundesliga, which I'm sure we're all tuning into. That means there's not an awful lot of footballing news about for this show to cover. And to be honest with you, I've not been able to find a headline for this week. Instead, I'm going to be looking at players that have been labelled the next Lionel Messi, and then I'm going to be ranking them in a tier list style situation. Now, I want to put a quick disclaimer in. Nobody is fit to lace Lionel Messi's boots. You know, he's an alien. We're all living on Earth. So if I put someone on category 1, I'm not saying they're as good as Messi. I'm just saying they're the best of the rest. There's only one place to start. It's the king of the next Messis. It's Bojan Krkić. Now you can see where the hype and the next Messi title came from for Big Bojan, because he broke every La Masia record. There's rumours he scored 900 youth team goals for Barcelona, and the hype continued when he broke into the first team. He was the youngest player ever to play a league game for Barcelona. That was a record previously held by Lionel Messi. 3 days later, he broke the same record in the Champions League, and he finished his first season at Barcelona with 12 goals. That's pretty decent. Since then, though, spells at AC Milan, Roma, Ajax, none of them really worked out, and the less said about his time at Stoke, the better. I'm going to put a bit of respect on his name. I'm going to put him in category 4 to start with. I'm hoping that's right. I'm sure the comments right now are saying it's not, but sorry Bojan, it's cat fault. Gerardo Bruna. Now I don't personally remember him, but he was called the next Messi when he broke through at Real Madrid. Despite the fact he broke through at Real Madrid, before he played a professional game for them, he was poached by Liverpool at 17 years old. Now, he never made an appearance for the Reds, and to be honest with you, he also Blackpool, Huesca, Tranmere, Whitehawk. I mean, the most appearances for a club here, 37 for Ottawa Fury. Now plays for Derry City. Yeah, the next Messi, he is not. I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, but classic case of a category 5 situation. Up next, we've got Mauro Zárate. Yes, the bloke who played for Birmingham, Watford, QPR, West Ham. The bloke who was actually unreal on like FIFA 12 or FIFA 13, I think it was. He had like 92 pace, an absolute gas merchant. And when he went to Lazio after his Birmingham loan spell, the Lazio president said, the terms of the agreement foresee a valuation of the player which will rise to around 25 million euros because Zárate will turn out better than Lionel Messi. Stinker. He's firmly a Cat 4 player, because there's some stinkers in Cat 5. Amir Sayoud. Do you remember him? Because I don't. But apparently back in 2009, Al Ali's board told the BBC, we have a young Algerian player called Amir Sayoud. We consider him the young Messi. Madness. Category 5. Ooh, this next one. Decent level player. Iker Muniain. Definitely one of the best players we've had on the list so far. Called the Messi of Bilbao, of course, back in 2011. That was the season he broke through, I think, into La Liga and won La Liga's Breakthrough Talent of the Year award. So, a pretty decent standard. He's still only 27, by the way, which is ridiculous. Feels like he's been around for 100 years. 400 plus appearances for Bilbao. So, for being a one-club man, 400 plus appearances, a decent level, I'm going to put him category 3. Arsenal fans, look away, because up next, we have Ryo Miyaichi, the Japanese Messi. Of course, he hit the headlines, didn't he, from Arsenal when he went on loan to Feyenoord. And he was doing bits in Holland. The Dutch media also called him Riodinho. Really imaginative. 4 loans after that. None of them were successful. Less said about that one at Wigan, the better. He's now playing for FC St. Pauli's second team in Germany. But you know what? Who could forget that Bolton Wanderers Player of the Month award, February 2012? Certainly not me. Despite all of that though, yeah, it's category 5. Ryan Gauld, the baby Messi, the Scottish Messi. You might remember him, the lad that opted to join Sporting Lisbon for £3 million instead of the Premier League. Now, to be fair to big Ryan, he did tell The Guardian in 2013 the comparison to Messi is quite laughable. Now, he's still in Portugal playing for Farense, and he's only 24 years old, and that concerns me. That concerns me because if I put him in category 5 and he suddenly has a late spurt and joins the Championship and then makes his way up to the Premier League or comes to Ligue 1 or something like that, it could make a mockery of me. So I'm jumping into category 4. I'll probably take some stick for that, but you know, I'm trying to cover my own backside. Alen Halilović, another player with the Messi mop. And when you're signed by Barcelona at 17, you know, hype is pretty high, and it gets even higher when your previous coach, this one Zagreb's coach, called him a Messi-type player if ever there was one. Sadly, never worked out. 2016, Barcelona moved him on to Hamburg. He was then loaned to Las Palmas. He's been at Milan. He's been at Standard Liège. He's been at here and then. Not category 5, is he? He's not Sayoud level. I'll go category 4. Oh, the best name on this list by a mile so far next. Paulo Dybala, labelled the next Messi, of course, when he was at Palermo in that breakthrough campaign in 2014. Comfortably the best player I've seen so far on here. 91 goals in just over 200 games at Juventus, 4 Serie A titles. To be honest with you, he should have more than 29 caps at international level too, but the Argentinian front line, it's not too bad. In fact, he's a fantastic footballer, category 1. Next up, we've got the German Messi, one for the ages. Marko Marin, of course, was part of that Chelsea hoarding process from like 2012 to 2014, of course, where they went and picked up some of Europe's most talented youngsters. He'd done okay at Werder Bremen previously to that, but, you know, if you look into it, it was kind of all down to Mesut Ozil, but the less said about that, the better. He got the move to Chelsea, never worked out. Again, not quite Sayoud level, so I'm going to go category 4. Next up, another player like Marko that was part of that Chelsea hoarding process of forgotten stars, Mo Salah. Incredible footballer, labelled the Egyptian Messi when he was at Basel. Obviously, we know the Salah story, we know the Salah stats, Champions Leagues, probably will win a Premier League this season, 40 goals for fun. I'm not going to go into the numbers, obviously he's category 1. What a football player. Okay, next up, Martin Ødegaard. This is actually quite harsh because, you know, he was called the next Messi when he was just 15 years old and ripping it up in Norway. You might remember when he was playing for Strømsgodset that he was getting called up to the international side at sort of 15, 16. And if Real Madrid have anything about him, to be honest with you, they'll move on Rodriguez, they'll move on Isco, and they'll implement Ødegaard. For me, because he's still so young, I'm putting him category 2. That is, I mean, it's optimistic, and I'm sure I'm going to get some stick for that. But I'll go category 2. Where would you put him if not category 2? Would it be in 2, 3 or 4? Because he's not cat 1 with Dybala and Salah. He's not cat 5 with Sayoud. So 2, 3 or 4, vote in the poll. Up there, I'm going category 2 for Big Martin. Okay, we've got Alen Dzagoev next. Dubbed the next Messi when he broke through at CSKA, the Russian Messi. 3 Premier League titles, 4 Russian Cups. Of course, that 2018 World Cup as well. He was much hyped going into that, wasn't he? I think he was a little bit unlucky with injury, actually, in that World Cup. Might got injured in the first group game and come back in the quarterfinals. I remember him whipping that cross in. Solid Champions League pedigree. You know, I've got to put a bit of respect on the Russian Premier League. I'm going to go category 3. Seung-woo. I remember this name, 2011. That was when Xavi said in 1 or 2 years he'll definitely be in the first team. Well, I'm hoping that Xavi's identification for talent is better now, because in a couple of years' time, we all know he's going to be the Barcelona manager, and I'm hoping that he's not identifying players like Seung-woo as the next Messi. Category 5. Finally then, we've got Erik Lamela. Now, you probably won't remember this. You might be saying at home, he was never labelled the next Messi. Well, he actually was. When he joined Roma from the Argentinian league, he was much hyped. He was a prodigy coming out of Argentina, called the next Messi when he arrived in Rome. And he did okay in Rome. He's done okay at Tottenham. Sure, he hasn't ripped up any trees. He hasn't been incredible. The Rabona goal for me lifts him into category 3 alone. Okay, so that was my list of players that have been labelled the next Messi. I've probably forgotten loads though. The likes of Ansu Fati I felt were just a little bit too young, so I haven't included him. But is there anyone in particular that I have missed out here? Please do let me know in the comments below and let me know what category you'd put them into. So that's it for this week's episode of We Need to Talk. If you enjoyed it, hop over to Eurofootball Daily and watch Continental Club with Doogie and the boys. Also, coming tomorrow, we've got a brand new show called The Football Pyramid, a quiz. I think it's me versus Hamill in episode 1, so tune in for that one. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you later.